right. Welcome to Ebony Yoga. I am your host, Dr. Ebony Utley, and we are going to start by getting into our first position, which is a firefly or a straddle position. So I encourage you to come long ways on your mat and then just open your legs and spread them as wide as is comfortable for you. If this isn't comfortable, then you can take a blanket, hold it up, put it underneath your seat, sit on the edge of the blanket, and tilt yourself forward. That slight lift of the hips might make you feel a little bit more comfortable. If you're still experiencing discomfort, then you can bring your feet flat to the mat and just open your legs wide. Now, for me in a straddle, this is all I have. I am not going to be folding forward. I can feel the intensity here in my inner legs. I can also feel a little bit in my hips. If you choose to bend your knees, it might make it a little easier for you to fold forward if you're like me with a limited range of motion. But some of you will be able to just extend your legs and drape forward and it'll be comfy. So just find a spot, right? And start to breathe. There's no particular breath pattern for today. Just inhale and exhale through your nose in a way that feels, again, comfortable for you. And while we're here, I'll talk to you about Yin Yoga. So if this is your first time in Yin Yoga, know that Yin Yoga is a practice about active stillness. So there are 3 principles of Yin Yoga. The first is that we get in the pose and commit to stillness, just like we're doing now. Legs are wide, committing to stillness. Number 2 is that we want to find our edge. We say in Yin Yoga that if you're feeling it, you're doing it, but the edge is not pain. If you feel anything that's sharp, shooting, or electrical, I need you to listen to your body and come out of that right away. But right now, I'm feeling just a little activation in my hamstrings. Again, there's a little tension inside my inner thighs, a little bit also external rotation in my hips, but it's not pain. I'm just feeling a little tensile resistance, a little tension. That is what you want to feel. Also, in Yin Yoga, we are not active, so I don't want you to flex your feet here. I just want you to relax them. If you're folding, I don't want you to try to grab onto your ankles or reach over your feet. I just want you to relax into the pose. The third principle of Yin Yoga is that we hold for time. So in Yin Yoga, the shortest period of time is about a minute, and the longest period of time can be up to 20 minutes, but we're not doing 20 minutes today, I promise you. So when you get into your poses, commit to stillness, find your edge, and hold for time. And there are 2 reasons to move in in Yin Yoga. I'm so used to teaching kinetic yoga. There are 2 reasons to move in Yin Yoga. The first is if you're experiencing pain and you need to come out. The second is if you want to go further into the pose. So you might find that you started here, but after breathing and sitting in the pose for a while, you feel like you can fold a little more deep. If so, ask your body if it has another edge and listen to your body and not to your ego. Yin Yoga is not so much about form. It's not so much about what you look like. It's about what you're feeling in each pose. So we've got a little bit more time in this straddle. If you feel comfortable in your space, you can close your eyes. Inhale and exhale. As you commit to active sleep. Let's prepare now to come out of the pose. If you fold it, slowly raise your torso back up so that the shoulders stack over the hips. Bring your hands behind you. Your hands come behind you. Fingers point out to the side and lean back to release your hips first. So lean back, maybe bring your feet in a little bit, rock your legs from side to side if that feels good. And then bring the soles of your feet together in butterfly. Today's class is all about sitting into the hips. So instead of bringing your feet close to the groin, I want you to bring your feet a little bit further away. So maybe you feel more of that external rotation in the hips. You can sit on a blanket still if that helps you feel more comfortable. I'm going to come off of my blanket. Again, we are active here, so I don't want you gripping onto your ankles, pulling your shoulders down. Just relax. If it helps you, you can bring your palms up to the sky. Open your shoulders, open your heart, force you to relax a little bit. If you have the mobility, you can fold forward in your butterfly to any amount. If you have your blanket, maybe you want to rest your blanket on your heels. Bring your arms down, bring your elbows to your legs, put your face in your hands. Again, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. But because we're so intense on the hips, we want to focus on that external rotation. So any sensation you feel in your hips, just breathe into it. If you have issues with sciatica, this practice is not for you today, not without the modifications. Everything we're doing today could aggravate sciatica in the hips. We are just going hard to sit in the hips. Find a breath pattern, inhaling and exhaling through your nose that works for you. And commit to active stillness. If you fold it, very, very slowly, start to rise. Stack your hips over the shoulders. And just sit in butterfly without the fold. If you didn't fold, stay where you are. Sit in your butterfly. And again, bring your intention to an external rotation of your hips. Going to give you lots of space tonight, lots of space, lots of quiet to be with yourself. Sometimes they say we hold lots of emotions in our hips. So I invite you to pay attention to any emotion that might come up for you today. It could be anger, it could be joy, it could be sadness, it could be curiosity. Just roll with whatever comes by being consistent with your breath. You're transitioning now into deer pose. So open up your butterfly, lean back again, open up your butterfly. So open up your feet And bring your left foot just past the center line, just a little bit past where it was. Bring the sole of the right foot to the earth and then walk it behind you. So that foot is almost in alignment with your hips. And then release the sole from the earth and point the knee forward. So in deer pose, again, we want both of those sit bones to be flat to the earth. So maybe you stay right here with that back knee pointing forward. Maybe you can bring your front quad to parallel the front of the mat. Maybe you can open that back leg up just a little bit so that it's more at 90 degrees. This front foot, it might need to come in more, it might be out more, depending on what's comfortable for you. I think in more might be a little softer on those hips, but wherever you are, make sure that both hips are rooted to the earth in your deer pose. Stay in deer for just a little bit. I can personally feel this rotation in my hips, and I am very happy right here. Some of you might be able to fold forward, and if you can, then just release yourself, fold forward. Commit to your active stillness, no pulling, no activation of the muscles. So you notice that we didn't warm up tonight, because in Yin Yoga, we don't need to warm up. We want to focus on cold muscles, because Yin Yoga actually bypasses the muscles and helps us focus on the body's connective tissues. So the fascia, the ligaments. Sometimes Yin Yoga is good for stimulating new cells in our bones. But we don't want our muscles to get in the way and be very yang. So yang is a strong, forceful energy, and yin is a calmer, stiller energy. Wherever you are, breathe into your deer, breathe into your hips. You stay where you are. I'm going to turn on my mat so that you can see the transition more clearly. So first, to come out of deer pose and transition into our next pose, which is sleeping swan, bring that front heel, the heel of your left foot, into your groin. So bring that heel in as far as it's comfortable, and then roll over onto your hands and knees. So go ahead and walk your hands out so your shoulders are approximately over your wrists. Now take that extended leg, your back leg, and just walk it back. You can come up on your toes like I'm doing. Walk your knee back a little bit at a time. Release the tops of your feet. You find yourself in sleeping swan. So some of you might even be sitting on this heel because that's comfortable for you. Others of you might want to move it out, right? Some of you might even be able to get that front leg parallel to the front of the mat. Ask your body what it wants. If you're feeling it, you're doing it. Now, sleeping swan can be pretty intense, so maybe you want to take your blanket underneath this thigh. Maybe that feels better. Maybe you double it up a little bit. If you're like me and you have a lot of space, I've got a lot of space here between my glutes and the earth. You can again take your blanket, fill up that space. Even with the space filled, I can still feel the activation, the external rotation in that left hip. You're also probably going to be feeling something in the hip flexors of the right foot and the extended leg. So maybe for some of you, being right here is where you want to be. Others of you might be able to fold. And this is the sleeping part of the swan if you decide to fold forward. So find the position that works for you. Remember, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. The position of that front leg doesn't really matter. Maybe the heel is in close to the body, maybe it's away from the body. Whatever works for you is what's best. Because sleeping swan can be intense, we won't be here very long. If you fold it, first, come back up, palms to the earth to support you. Lean over onto that left hip so that your glutes are back to the earth. And we're coming out the way we went in. So revisit your deer pose. Bring that back leg up. Bring the front leg a little more parallel to the front of the mat. And notice how deer feels now that we're here for a second time. Maybe you can extend that front leg away from you a little bit more. Maybe you can open that back leg up away from you a little bit more, or maybe not. Do what feels good for your body. Do not add any extra stress to your knees, and send your breath to this external rotation of your hips. And then in the spirit of recreating our pattern, lean back and release your deer and return to your butterfly. So bring the soles of your feet together. Extend your feet away from your groin. Ask your hips how they're feeling now. Breathe. Again, if you like, you can fold forward. You're always welcome to support your head. You can get your knees to be, if you can get your elbows to the earth, or if you put a blanket or pillow underneath you. We're not here very long as this is a transition, so if you fold it, Slowly rise, stack those shoulders back over your hips, and we'll do deer on the other side. So first, we lean back, open the butterfly, bring the right foot across the midline. Lay the shin down on the right foot, walk the back foot back. Maybe the knee points forward first. Maybe we can bring the quad, you can't see me. Okay, there we go. Maybe we can bring the quad more parallel. Find the position that works on your right side. And if you got your sides mixed up, it's okay. Just do the opposite side. Again, make sure that those hips are rooted to the earth. So if that means you bring the back heel closer and the front heel closer, then that's what you do. Again, also don't add any extra stress to the knees. If you feel any sharp shooting, electrical pain, please come out. Breathe into your hips. Let's transition to sweeping swan now. First, bring that front heel into your glutes. Roll over your knees, come up to hands and knees. Walk that left knee in. Use your toes and knees to walk it back. Release the foot. Check in again now with that front leg. Can you extend it a little bit more? Maybe. Maybe you need that blanket underneath the front thigh. Maybe you need it underneath the right glutes. Check in that you're feeling something, some sort of external rotation in that right hip. And if you have the range of motion, you can put your swan to sleep. If you don't fold forward, you're just a regular swan. It's all good. Breathe. Breathe into your hips in particular. Inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Again, no particular breath pattern. Just whatever you're feeling. You put your swan in sleep, awaken, come up from the fold, palms flat to the earth. Shift your weight over to that right foot. Maybe you bring, shift your weight over to your right glute. Maybe you bring the right foot in first. Come back to your deer pose. So the back leg comes up. The front leg extends forward, the amount that's comfortable for you. Again, pay particular attention to how it feels this time. Do you feel like you have a little bit more mobility? Do you feel like you have less mobility? Maybe if you had less, you pushed a little bit past your edge and you should back up a little bit more. Breathe into what you're feeling. Transition out of deer, onto that right hip, pick up the back foot, bring the soles of your feet together for butterfly. Now this is the third time we've been in butterfly. Notice how that feels. If you would like to fold, go ahead and fold forward. Again, you don't want those heels too close to your glutes. Keep holding, slowly rise. And we'll transition into shoelace. So again, lean back just slightly. Open up your feet, open up your butterfly. Bring your right heel past your right glute and point that right knee forward. Take the left leg on top and stack the left leg on top of the right. Now I like to sit up here, push myself up with my hands, wiggle my glutes in, and then settle down. If you're anything like me, you start to feel this right away. If this is too intense, you can bring your heels a little further from your glutes if that works for you. If that doesn't work at all, then you can just cross your legs at your ankles. You're still getting this external rotation in your hips. So you might be thinking, Ebony, where's our break? Where's the dynamic transition? I didn't build any because I was serious when I said we were sitting in these hips all night. So the good news or the bad news is that we're halfway through the practice. So wherever you are, breathe into your hips. If you're in the full shoelace, think about rotating out from the hips, especially the top hip, the left hip, because the left leg is on top. If you feel so inclined, you can fold. Notice how that changes the intensity for you. You might be able to walk your hands out. Maybe you just want to sit up and support your face with your hands underneath. That might create a little extra pressure, maybe a 2 out of 10. It could be good for you here. Find your sweet spot. You also can put a blanket between your top knee and your bottom knee. That also helps take a little bit of the pressure off. Transition out of shoelace to seated figure 4. Hands come behind you again. Lean back, lean back, lean back. Maybe your hands need to come behind you a little further. Lean back and then pick up the right foot. So the right sole of the foot is on the earth and the left ankle is crossing the knee, and you hang out right here. Find that sweet spot where you really feel the activation in your hips. And maybe you push yourself up a little further on your hands. Maybe you create even more space. Maybe you've got a wall or couch behind you, like me, you lean back on your furniture. But again, we're trying to get into that hip. So breathe. One of the things I like most about Yin Yoga is it gives me so much time to be with my body. To notice what is happening where the energy needs to move more fluidly, where the breath needs to go more intentionally, where I need to work to increase my flexibility. Mindfully release the sole of that left foot to the earth. So bend your elbows, lean back some more. Pick up that left foot. Spread your feet wide so that your feet are wider than your hips. Use your hands, push yourself forward, and then use your hands to lift up your bottom so that you come to a squat. Now maybe in this squat position, you want a blanket under your glutes to help support you. Maybe you want one underneath your heels if your heels are off the earth like mine. You can also spread your feet a little bit wider so that the soles of your feet can come flat. You can just slight pressure, right? Remember that Yin is not about being active. So again, 2 out of 10, slight pressure. If you're in prayer hands, to open your knees, or you can just release the back of your hands down to the earth and just curl in and fold. That might feel good as a nice relaxing pose. Opening up the hips some more, but also releasing the shoulders. So find a position that works for you. Commit to active stillness. And now you can release your squat. I'm close to the earth, so it's super easy for me to sit down. But others of you, just bring your hands behind you from your squat. Create a little space, sit down. This time we want the right knee on top. So we'll lay the left knee down and point it forward, heel close to the glutes. Cross the right leg over, maybe lift ourselves up and wiggle right back into shoelace. Ask your body what it needs on this side. Maybe you're folding forward. Maybe you're sitting up. It's up to you. But remember, no clenching, no gripping. Release your jaw. Maybe shake your head. Yes and no here. Sometimes when our hips are tight, we want to tighten other muscles in our body. Maybe what you're feeling is very intense in your hip. Intense sensation, but not pain. Just make sure that you're not tightening any place else. Breathe. Shoelace and our next pose, square, have very similar activation points. So if you're comfy in your shoelace, stay there. If you'd like to transition to square, actually, I'm sorry, we have to do our figure four. So don't stay there. Everybody lean back, lean back, lean back. Bring the sole of that bottom foot, the left foot to the earth. Bring the ankle across the knee. Push yourself up to seated until you get to that sweet spot, right? Where you feel the activation. Seated figure four. You'll know you're there when you start to feel a little bit of tension. Breathe. Now we're ready to go to square. So again, we'll start on the right this time. So that left foot, take the knife edge side of the foot, walk it over so that the shin is flat to the mat. Right ankle can come on top of the right knee. The base of the body forms a square. Some of you might want that ankle just a slight flex to protect the knee, again, like a 2 out of 10. Others of you might like to take the knife edge side of the foot into the hip crease and open yourself up this way. Some of you might want to go back to shoelace. So shoelace is your jam, go back to shoelace. If shoelace and square aren't working for you at this point in the practice, then just cross out your ankles. Like I said before, you can still get that external rotation. If, like me, you've got one knee that's a lot higher in square, you can put a blanket underneath for support. You are welcome to sit up tall in square, or as you breathe, you can ask your body if it has another edge, and maybe you can fold forward. Again, try not to grip, try not to relax. If there's a little flex in the ankle, it's like 2 out of 10. Breathe. If you hold it, slowly walk yourself up, stack those shoulders over your hips, hands behind you, lean back, lean back. Slowly release that top foot, maybe you take a hand to help it, back to the earth, soles of both feet to the earth, and finally, let's do a little internal rotation. Release those hips a little bit, windshield wiper, soles of the feet to the earth, knees to the sky, rocking from side to side. One more push, yes. Okay, come to stillness. This time, the right leg is on the bottom, forming that square. Left leg comes on top. Maybe again, you're just crossing at the ankles. Maybe you've got the foot in that shin crease to create your square. Maybe you want the ankle over the knee. You're at a 2 out of 10 in the flex. This side may feel completely differently from the previous side. That's okay. Just breathe into whatever you feel and set your intention to externally rotating your hips. Sit in those hips. And as you breathe, you might find that your body has another edge and you're able to fold forward. One more full round of breath here. And if you fold it, start to rise. Stack the shoulders over the hips, hands behind you. You know what to do. Lean back. Again, maybe one hand helps put that top ankle off of the knee. Spread your feet a little wide. Windshield wiper. Internal rotation of the hips this time. Hopefully this feels good. And in case you were thinking, Ebony, can I lie down now? The answer is yes. In whatever way feels good to you. Come lying down on your back, feet flat to the earth, knees to the sky. We're not quite finished with those hips yet, but we will be supine in a supine figure 4. So pick up your left foot, cross the ankle over the knee, squeeze the knee into your chest. Maybe you rock from side to side here if that feels good. You can interlace your hands behind your thigh or over your shin. Stretch out that hip just a little bit. And then when you're ready, take the sole of your top foot, the sole of your left foot, and twist so that the sole of the foot is flat to the earth. So you're in figure 4, twist here. You can bring your arms straight out to the sides, or you can bend them at a 90-degree angle as you twist. Stretch out that hip. Continue to breathe. Return to center. Maybe you release your arms and use them to help your legs up a little bit. Torso comes to center. Knees come to center. Prepare for the other side. Right ankle over the left knee. Squeeze the left knee into your chest. Maybe interlace those fingers behind the thigh on top of the shin. Maybe rock from side to side a little bit. Stretch out. And then when you're ready, twist the sole of that right foot over the body. Twisted figure 4, arms spread wide or bent at 90 degrees. Your vision can be wherever is comfortable. I like to look straight up to the sky to protect my neck, but maybe you want to look in the direction of your feet, and maybe your neck wants to look away from your feet. Breathe. Release those arms. Release your twist. Come back to center. Spread your feet as wide as the mat. Windshield wiper supine. Little internal rotation. And when you're ready, back of the legs flat to the mat. We made it. This is our final rest. You can bring your palms down to the earth for grounding. You can bring them up for receiving. Decide what your hips want. Maybe it feels good now to have your legs as wide as the mat, or maybe you want them close together. Find your sweet spot. For the next few minutes, let the magic of the practice do its work. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable in your space, and gratitude to your hips. Breathe. Start to bring your awareness back into your body. If you opened your legs wide, bring your ankles to touch, and then just bring your knees into your chest, rock from side to side. If you want a little more, you can bring your elbows inside your legs, grab your ankles or outside of your shins, the knife edge side of your feet, and open up into a little happy baby. One last push for the hips, rock from side to side if that feels good. You can open your legs as you rock if that also feels good. Then release your happy baby. Bring your knees back into your chest. Rock over to your left side, your yin side. Take a full round of breath in fetal position. And then push yourself back up to seated. Thank you for allowing me to lead you in Ebony Yoga Yin.